Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It's your boy Gokitaro, C89 Tiger House. Thank you very much for watching the show and subscribing and sharing. Keep subscribing and sharing with your friends. We truly appreciate it. Today we have C89 and C85 alumni from Comlag on the show. So definitely like to hear their perspectives from how their command experience all done from boys to men. So I'll pass it over to Ife to introduce our guest today. Ife, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Ifeda Polo again. Finals House, Command Secondary School, Ipaja, Lagos, class of 88. We have two honored guests today. I grew up with these guys in the same dormitory. One particularly I shared 5 years with, Bola Oyibola. It was originally my set 88, but he finished 89. So, the other Ebon, 85 set, he tortured me small. But we happen to be very good friends right now. Is somebody that's very passionate about our alma mater, Command. Is the president of the UK group or chapter. He's very involved with Command itself, so he will have the floor to actually share some things they're doing in the UK right now when it comes to Command. And so, without going any further, I will give you the floor just briefly to introduce yourselves properly to our viewers. So I'll start with Egbon, Mr. Akibogo.
Thank you very much, Ife Bapolowe and Goke, for having me on your show. It's a huge honor, to be a guest on your show, tonight. Depending on what part of the world you are, it's just gone past 7 o'clock in the evening here. So I live in the UK. I've been in the UK for many years. 85 sets. Flying Horse House. I was in the same dormitory with these guys, so you can imagine how much they ran me rugged, right in that place. So I quite enjoyed I've always said this to everybody that I've met, that my 5 years in command was, yes, a lot of challenges, but it was a learning curve for me, and I think it's part of what makes me who I am today.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, that's fine.
That one, that section,
Okay.
So, but you haven't properly introduced yourself.
Well, you wanted me to introduce myself. You
that was an introduction. The top experience.
Okay. What would you like to?
What do you do now? Professionally, we talk about your house and stuff.
Okay, I work in the railway sector in the UK here. I've worked in the railway sector for over 20 years now, so it's quite a good experience, and I enjoy doing what I do, So I'm married with kids. There's this saying in Yoruba land that you don't count how many children you have, but I have 4 children, three of them are sort of like adults, and one is about 11 going to be 12 years old. What else can I say?
So what about when it comes to Comlag? What do you do for?
Well, I thought we were going to reserve that for
no introduction now you be the man for UK now.
Right, okay. With regards to the alumni, I'm currently the president of the Comlag UK alumni. So we are not a chapter, we are not a branch. I dare say we are a proper alumni in the UK here. And our remit is to cater for Comlag Commandos, in the UK primarily, and also to synergy with other Comlag alumni groupings across the whole world. So that's basically, another responsibility that I have.
Thank you, sir. Pardon me. Go on.
Yes,
Go
thank you, Ife and Goke, for this honor. I'm deeply honored for the invite to be able to share experiences and things that have happened. But today, I'm trained as a marine engineer. That's my training. But right now, I work as an operations manager for a pharmacy, and it's a very rewarding job to do, especially in this kind of times of COVID and all that's happening in the world today. I manage operations for both front end and pharmacy as a whole. So it's just sort of a holistic approach to running things, and it's fun because you get to lead people, you get to help them become better, and it's fun. That's all I can really say. I'm married to and I have 2 children. My children are I won't say they're quite young, but they are young. They're very young. So I have a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. And I live my life for those children. It's fun. It's fun to be a dad and to be able to pour life into someone else and continue in the process of growth. So for me, it's fun. It's fun. I currently live in 2 places. So I live in Georgia, and I also have a project in New York that I'm doing. I've not been able to close that project up yet, but that's what my life is about right now. So thank you for the honor.
So, Bola, we're going to get back to you at some point to share some of your experience when it comes to what to do concerning the pandemic. So we'll get back to you. I know you have some expertise. We talked about it offline days ago. So moving forward, Mr. Kibogu.
Yeah.
So you have the floor now to explode to any extent. Giving us your experience, you actually the 3rd set in command, right?
Yeah.
You're the 3rd set. Okay.
Yeah.
So
during my time
from a civilian,
yeah, so during my time, I had the honor or the privilege of going through, I think, 3 principals. So,
right.
Two principals and 1 commandant. You know, so
tell us from the first day they dropped you in command. Did you start from Bonny Camp or
No. I started at the program. I didn't start at the program.
The 4th set.
The first and second.
So I remember vividly in fact, before I started, I remember I did the command entry exams twice. So the first time I did it, I passed the assessment, but because myself and my immediate junior brother, we sort of were in the same class from start to finish. So when we did our first exams in primary 5, I passed the exams, but my brother didn't pass it. So my dad said, "Well, both of you can't go separately. You've been coming, together for a very long time, so you won't go this year. You will do the exams again next year, and hopefully both of you will pass it." And then we did it the following year, and again I passed the exams, but my brother didn't pass it. So that logic of trying to keep us together didn't work. So I ended up coming to command while my brother went to another school. And I remember very vividly, I don't know if it's the same setup now, but where class 1, it used to be class 1 and class 2, where they were then. I don't know if that is where they still are now. I haven't been to command since I left. But that was where they were doing the processing. So my dad and my mom, they brought me there, we did the processing. I think we paid the school fees there and things like that, and then they said to us, "Well, you can now go to the dormitory." And of course, my parents were not allowed to go with me. So I was lugging all my stuff, and I was looking back, and my mom, God bless her soul, she's passed on now, and she was shedding tears, and I was shedding tears as well. I felt reluctant going, and then I can't remember who it was, but somebody came and just helped me with some of my thing, and took me to the dormitory. The first person I met when I got into that dormitory was Joku. I'm not sure if you remember him.
I remember.
Yeah. That was the first person I met. The first command guy that I met was Joku. And he was such a nice person. He came, he said, come in, like this, showed me, where I was going to be, and within a few minutes, everyone just came on, and hey, this is a new guy, right? And they just made my first few hours very comfortable, very, and that was what I remember most about my first day,
It was more like your mate or your junior or your senior.
Well, he was my senior, but I think he repeated that year, so he ended up being in the same class with me.
Yeah,
got you.
I remember him.
So that in a nutshell was my first thing.
Okay, go ahead. Give us your experiences in command.
Well, the dining hall rush was something it took me a while to get used to, because I wasn't really pampered at home, but there were certain food I don't eat. So I think the first meal that day was eba, and that disgusting egusi soup. I went to the dining hall.
I remember that soup, man.
It was disgusting.
It was bad.
Yeah, and I went to the dining hall, and as soon as I saw that it was eba and egusi, I just turned back and I just went. Every time we came back from holidays to school, my provisions tended to finish very quickly, because for the first few weeks I would not even go to the dining hall. I wouldn't go to the dining hall. So all I kept eating was my garri, my profita, my dudu, and my
cabin biscuit,
and my cabin biscuit, and my orange squash. So, but as time went on, I had to start eating school food, because one of the teachers was giving my parents feedback. My dad was based at military hospital Yaba, and they quite knew him, the staff, so they were always giving him behind the scene report about how I was doing. So when I wasn't in the dining hall, my dad knew I wasn't eating and when they said, you know what, if you're not going to eat in the dining hall, then there's no point in not feeding any provisions. So maybe that will get you to start eating, school food. So because I was scared that they were going to take that away, and then I wouldn't still eat eba and egusi, but I would eat things like beans, things like yam porridge, I love bread and egg, those kind of things, So I started adjusting, So that was the dining hall bit, I wasn't much of a dining hall reader, Most of the time, they tended to make my food, but I think that's what to do with it, So, if you make my food, you can be sure that the next time I have the opportunity, I'm going to get one back on you, So, yeah, so that was that. I don't know. I think I was a bit. I was a bit of a handful to my seniors as well. I remember when someone took my bucket. My bucket, it was very conspicuous because my son name was written.
I remember.
Yes. But the funny thing is, some of my seniors had this habit of taking my bucket. But not only will they take the bucket, they will padlock it. So for months on end, I'm looking at my bucket. I know where the bucket is, but I don't have access to it. So one day, fortunately for me, this senior forgot to put the padlock on. So I saw it and I said, oh, okay. So I just took it out. All the clothes I was in, put it on, upturned my bucket, put it on the floor, and I just took my bucket away. Of course, there were consequences for that, But as is always, as is always, of course. Yeah. So.
Yes.
Yeah. What else? Right? Yeah. Yes.
I don't think. If I remember very well, I don't think you were the space guy. If I remember very well.
No. I wasn't.
You were more of an efiko. So.
Yes, I was much of an efiko. I wasn't sporty. But I was into things like literary and debating society. I was into things like the cultural group. I was into things like, the school choir. I was very much into all of those kind of things.
With Kojo Tete. With Kojo Tete.
Yes, with Mr. Tete, yes. Yes, so we do the Christmas carols, and things like that. But sports, for some strange reason, I didn't get into it. What I hated most was the cross-country race. I think it was held every Tuesdays and every Thursday. And you will always see me, I will be the first to get back to the dormitory. No mistake about that. I'm always one of the first people to get back. Because I never completed it ever. I never did it, I never completed it. I will run loud, make sure that they see me running, and then I find a shortcut, go back on myself, and I'll go and hide in the toilet, or go and hide somewhere in the bathroom somewhere, for the duration of the thing, So, yeah.
Is that in your junior days? That was in your junior days, right?
That was for the whole 5 years. The whole of my time there. In fact, when I became the dumb captain, I had a bit of a leeway. So I will chase everyone out and I will go back in,
Yeah.
So I will chase people out, we have to go, and then I will go. The thing I enjoyed most about being a dog captain was the Sunday inspections,
Oh, yeah.
I quite enjoyed it. It's not because our dormitory or our house was the cleanest. You will not believe the reason why it's because I love the white that we always wore on that Sunday.
And listen. I know why you enjoyed it. Remember, you were the one. You had a wet towel, and you will be tapping us with that towel. Remember?
Yeah.
That's how you punished us. That's why you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no. I didn't. Listen,
that was painful, man.
I wasn't the first person to do that, though.
Adefila started that thing.
It was our house prefect then. What's his name? Good luck or something like that? He was the one who first started it. He will wake you up in the morning.
That was painful, man. It was painful.
Of course. Amir was very subtle because I didn't wet it at the end. But he used to wet it at the end. So you get pills from it. So yeah, but I love the inspection on Sunday because of the whites that we wore, because white everyone just looked like angels, But as soon as you finish that's it. Everyone is changing, and everyone's hurrying to the dining hall, So yeah, so I wasn't much of a sports guy. I tried to play volleyball, good at it, so I just abandoned sport altogether. I was more of a cheerleader than an active participant. I mean, there's so many memories. I don't know where to start.
We'll get back to the main gist. All right.
Yeah. Can start with your first day, come on.
Oh, my first day was like it was a fun day for me because I had started the very first day. The first set went to Bonnie Camp. I started that first day with them. And you would say, how did you do that? Well, I didn't go to school that day. I went with my sister. My sister was in the first set. So, and my sister kind of, I would say she almost like she raised me. So,
your sister is 82 set.
Yes, no.
Yes.
Okay. She lives in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
My sister is in the first set. So I was used to coming to that school on visiting days,
right?
Whether it was Bonnie Camp or it was in Azepaja. I was used to coming there. So this was the first time I was coming as a student, though. So for me, I had seen it all, and then BC Okewole was the senior prefect at that time. And BC Okewole was my sister's school daughter. So it was like my first day, somebody was there to welcome me. And to say, help me with this. And then she talked to Bayo Ogunyemi and said, Bayo Ogunyemi. Ogunyemi was his name. Yomi Ogunyemi, because we called him Bufo. I remember Bufo was what. So she talked to him and said, help me take care of my brother here is his first day. So first day for me was quite interesting. It was a new thing, but I was a kid. It was a first experience by myself out of home, and I think really my first day I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my first day. Got my stuff all put away. Got my bed laid. Of course, by the next day I'd lost everything. It didn't matter because because at that time I'm the last of 4 kids, and I was the baby of the family, so I was always pampered. So everybody pampered me. Like I said, my sister practically raised me. My sister would not eat, but she would make sure I had something to eat. When she was in Command Children's School, because we also went to Command Children's School, she would bring milk home. Her milk that they gave her in school, she would bring it home to me. So wow. I was used to that pampering. So it was different when I was finally by myself.
Which Command Children's School did you go to? Ikeja or Yaba?
No, Yaba.
Yaba, okay.
Yeah, I always went to the original ones. Yaba was
original. I know Yaba is the first. I know, but Ikeja was bigger. Ikeja was bigger. It's bigger. Yeah. Trust me, it's bigger.
I never went there. In all honesty, okay. I never went.
I've been to the 2. I didn't attend, but when we went to Arms Barak where it was, I saw it because I had friends who went there. So
yeah, so I always had that pride of my school was the first. Everything else came from this one. Same, just like I looked at the Paja too. Like everybody else came from this one, because the Paja was always just in the limelight of everything. The Paja kind of set the precedence for everything that was going on. We did something in Paja, then they duplicated it everywhere else.
Up to today, Ipaja, Kaduna, Ibadan, and Jos, they started at the same time. They are all 977. Those are the first 4 commands when Obasanjo put it together. Yeah, it's not like Ipaja was not the first. NMS is the first. Then the first 4 commands came after it.
Well, if you really think about it, when it comes to recognizing that you went to command, when I was going into command in 82, no one, maybe in other parts of the country, no one talked about any other command.
But they existed. I'm just saying that Lagos is more of it was the capital of Nigeria at that time, right? So for sure. But the other commands existed. They existed.
They probably did.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee you that Ipaja was the pride of command schools. Everybody knew Ipaja. So whether or not they existed, that's of no concern to me. It's okay. But I knew my school.
I'm just saying because I know that other command people watch this show and they will be screaming. So they all started. NMS started before us in the 50s.
I think NMS is around forever. NMS has been around forever. But back to what I was saying. Coming to command was unique. So, and then when I came into school, there were a lot of people who were in the school who also went to my primary school. Like a lot of people. Shola Olabi and I were classmates in command children's school.
Wow.
I saw his team. Used to play soccer when we were in primary school. A lot of people that I then saw in school again were people that I had grown up with in primary school. Wow. So for me, I was first time I was by myself, but also at the same time I had people that I knew.
Right.
I had people that I knew. So it was a fun time. And then just the experiences of I did run. I did sprints. I could not run long distance for nothing in my life. But I did sprints and I played soccer. But outside of those things, the fun times were dating, having girlfriends, being able to just relax and be a part of that fun. And it was quite interesting.
Can I just ask you out of curiosity, how many girlfriends did you have?
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness! You want to open a can of worms?
No, we don't want to.
We are not mention names. You don't have to mention names. Just say maybe 5, 10. You know, maybe.
Hey, Mr. Kyle, this guy was the rascal. It was the rascal.
How about I say many?
He was a Dowda the sexy guy. So I'll ask both of you one question. How did the regimental experiences? I don't know if you guys, when you had the principal for Caribbean, if you guys experienced what we experienced, RSM. How did the regimental experiences then? Which I'm sure most of us hated it that time. How did they affect you today?
I have some interesting stories to tell you. Then you can judge for yourself.
Okay, so go ahead. Let us know.
When I started at Command Secondary School, Mr. Efekudu was our principal, and there was something very, very uncanny about Mr. Efekudu. He didn't have to say a word. He didn't have to shout. One look at you, and you knew exactly what he wanted you to do, and you will run for your dear life. That was how disciplined this man was. He didn't carry a cane. His demeanor, his body language told you what you needed to know. That was how effective the man was. Well, unfortunately, I don't think he stayed long. I think maybe he only lasted, or I only experienced him for 1 year most, and then he was gone. And then came in Mr. D.B. Ajayi of blessed memory, may his soul rest in peace. And he was the exact opposite of Mr. Efekudu. He was always walking around with a cane, He liked to flog people a lot, So I experienced quite a lot of those floggings. There was this carving that he used to bring to the assembly, and I was, if you were on the list of noise makers, which I always was on, or if you had done something, wrong, the place where you get punished was at the assembly. And I think I was called up there maybe a few times. I remember there was a time when he told us to box that we call it CDD then, so his style was the extreme opposite to that of Mr. Efekudu. And then of course he left, and then Lawal of blessed memory as well came in, and that was where the regimental thing started. So I remember Captain Owoye, I don't know if it is, I'm not sure, but I think I heard that he's passed on as well. And there was one.
Wait, hold on. I think I'm confused here. When you were in command, there was a Captain Owoye, because we had a Lieutenant Owoye that used to teach us.
We had a Captain Owoye.
So that means there were 2 Owoyes in command.
Well, I don't know about the Lieutenant Owoye.
That was the same person.
No, but he was a lieutenant when I was a junior. He was not a captain.
But he became a captain.
But you had finished. He had finished. So he couldn't have been the same person.
No, by the time he came to command, with Lieutenant Colonel Lawal, he was a captain. So
when I was there, when I came in '86, he was a lieutenant. He was teaching us math. That means there are 2 different ones, because the reason I say so is Papa Nake mentioned his name before, and I was like,
none of the military men then taught us anything. They didn't teach us anything.
Oh, so the captain guy was not teaching?
No.
Okay, that means there are 2 different ones.
What did he look like?
I don't remember captain. I know lieutenant.
Okay, guys. Okay, established. There are 2 different ones. Mr. Kaldimo, go on now.
Right, so there was also a warrant officer. I can't remember his name now, but there was also a warrant officer. So there was Lieutenant Colonel
Ajayi.
No, I don't think so. I think he was an outside man. I don't think he was a Yoruba man. I think he was an outside man. So, but the point I'm trying to get at here is they were very strict, and it was throughout the time I was there with them, it was very strange times because they were very strict. So whereas in the past, you can stroll to the dining hall, and you still stood a chance of getting your food. By the time this military men came in, if you are not at the dining hall by a certain time, number one, your food is gone. Number two, you get punished. And these people had koboko, and it's not just one striped koboko. It's those hydra-headed koboko with their ends, tied in knots.
You call me hydra-headed.
They will flog the hell out of you. That is how strict they are. So everybody was walking like military men. Wah, 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 wah. People were actually running as well. If you are late, sometimes because I know that sometimes if I don't get up early or I'll be late for classes, so what I do is I wake up, I don't go to the dining hall, I head straight to the class. So I'm one of the first people there. So that I don't get smart, because I hated the flogging. Unfortunately, there was an incident that happened in my last year, in my 5th year. I think it was first time. So they had this habit of coming to do spot checks, and they were checking your exercise books. If your exercise books were not up to date, for every exercise book that was not complete, you get 4 strokes of the koboko. Oof. Now, guess what? Yours truly did 8 subjects, yeah? And every one of those 8 subjects was not complete. So, that's 8 subjects by 4 strokes of this hydra-headed koboko. Yeah? So for me, it's 8 times 4 times 4.
See your calculation.
It was always a surprise. It was always a surprise check. So you never knew when they were coming. You see, that's So for those who always wrote their notes, they will always be up to date. But for people like us who didn't, when they come on those spot checks, God help us. So anyway,
I have a question to that quickly. Yeah. So when they come there, the individual teacher, who's the one that knows that you've gotten up to date in all the notes?
That's why it's a spot check.
No, I said, but it's one teacher that comes. Is it all the teachers?
Yeah, they have no. The teacher will be there. You understand me? The teacher will come with them. The teacher
okay.
And then what they will do is they will take a sample of the most up-to-date notes
of an Efiko that does it.
And even though I was an Efiko, I didn't used to write notes.
Okay.
Even though I wasn't. There were people who were more efficient than me. I was just, yes, I was. People said I was an Efiko, and I know I tended to read a lot, but I also slacked as well. So I wasn't in the league of the Samuel Okoros, my classmate who was always number 1 all the time, I wasn't that efficient, but yes. So anyway, on this particular day, I had Captain Owe is coming. Captain Owe is coming. As soon as I heard that, in those days we had the windows were planks. They were not glass louvers. They were replaced by wooden louvers. So I started removing them, and I wanted to just escape through one of the windows before he came. And guess what? Captain Owe had already seen me, and he just blocked me to the window. So that's the very. And guess what? I was the first person whose note was checked on that day.
So 128 strokes.
the olive green top that we wear.
Right.
Showing red blood-stained marks.
Wow.
Even the girls, my classmates, the ladies, they were sending messages to the dormitory that they should come and check if I was okay. That was how peaceful it was, But I think it set me straight, because You know, when we were preparing for our O levels, a lot of people were saying, K is not going to pass he's not going to pass his exams. You know, but I had a method to my madness. You know, we used to have prep before before we go for breakfast. So we will go up. I think about 5 o'clock we will go for prep 1 hour, and then we will go for our breakfast, and then we will come for assembly. During that 1 hour, I knew how much work I did, especially leading up to my exams. So to the ordinary eye, I was loafing around. We used to call it loafing around, you know. But when I needed to study, I was studying. And so on the day of the results, when we all came, I heard people murmuring, oh, K is not going to pass, K is not going to do this. And I saw people, I was standing behind, I saw people looking at my name. And they were flabbergasted that, wow, this guy actually passed this. I had my GCSEs. I went on to do A levels, and then from there I went to State University. So I had my results. But that one experience set me straight.
Wow.
Some people will say they didn't like command, but for so many reasons, I loved command because I started my independence at the age of 12.
So that will lead you to the next question for you both. So we'll go ahead with you. So with that kind of background, will you send your children to command?
I would, if I could. If I was in Nigeria, if I lived in Nigeria, if I had my children in Nigeria, that would have been my first consideration.
Wow. Bono, how about you?
I would. I definitely would.
So
I don't know what the standard is like today.
It's improved. It's improved from like 10 years ago. It's improved actually in the last 2 years. It's actually improved.
But I definitely would.
So I want you guys. I'm leading to another subject, which is very, very dear to me. Because I learned a lot. Actually, knowing you guys and being able to have you guys on the same show today was actually kind of a miracle. And this is why I say that because I witnessed what happened in that dormitory that day. I don't know the day, but I remember what happened vividly, like yesterday. I remember the beatings. I remember what led to the incident. So I'm never going to give anything away. I want you to explain what happened even before and after during that incident with you and Mr. Kayode.
Well, so first off, just for people who are viewing this, at no point did I feel like I was a victim. And I say that because I was seeing similar things happen to other students, other kids in school at the time.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't the same exact incident, but similar. So it so happens that I got punished seriously by my senior at that time, which was Coyote was my senior. It was all of our seniors, of course. So I got punished by him, and it happened to be right before a visiting day. So I get to my parents, and my dad is looking at me like, "What is wrong with this boy?" So he checks me, and he says, "Who did this to you?" So I told him, I said, "Oh, it was Senior Coyote," and he said, "Senior Coyote. Does he have a last name?" I didn't know what he was gonna do. He said, what's his surname? I said, Akibogu. He said, okay. And he did this to you? I said, yes. So he didn't say anything after that. The visiting day went as normal. Then my dad came the next day, and which was a Monday, of course, he came with an orderly. And I wasn't standing right there when this all started. My dad just walked into the dormitory and started to ask for who is Kayode Akibogun here. And then I heard my dad's voice. I'm like, that's my dad. So I look up and I see him. And you know, as a little boy, you're like, what is happening? So I'm confused, like, what is my dad doing? And I ain't asking for Kayode Akibogun. But he was so bold that I said, oh, I'm Kayode Akibogun. It was almost as if, like, you. Then my dad asked him, you are the one? And that was how the drama started. And for a little boy, I was thinking, oh, this man's going to let this senior kill me now. Because after you go, this guy is going to just kill me. But I got the opposite effect, right, of that happening. So after the entire episode of a bunch of rushing, as a matter of fact, if you remember a guy called Ogunche Michael.
Of course.
Ogunche Michael used to just torment me with that incident. He would say, he used to just say, Otunwo mi, rush here and all that. And he used to say to me, he used to say to me, I remember. I used to be like Oguche, leave this thing alone. And he say, I can never forget. I can never forget in my life.
Yes.
Then he would say, you're Kayode Akibogun, right? You are? I say, okay. And it was something that I just recollected. But by the time,
they were using that stuff as a joke.
Of course.
It was used as a joke.
Okay, after the fact.
This was after the fact. Okay. For years and years, he was using it as a joke, and he was just tormenting my life with Otunwomi. So,
is that what your dad was telling Kayode?
Yeah, no, he was telling the corporal.
That.
The corporal.
Oh, maybe the corporal should know that he should deck him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You give us step by step of that because you watched through it. So explain it so people understand.
So he asked him. So he said he came into the dormitory again. He said, "Who is that book?" He said, "It's me." Of course, that dormitory was his pride and joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we will sweep it, keep it clean, lay our beds, all of that stuff. It was a good precedent to set for how a dormitory should look.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nephew was in the dormitory with us too at that time, and they had the box room. So and they had that box room, and and they played sports a lot. So I don't know if you know Ene. I don't think did you know Ene?
No. I don't remember. I was in flying also, so I don't remember most of those people.
Yeah, Ene was the prominent figure. You would know Ene because he played handball and he played basketball.
When did he finish?
I think he was senior. He finished in 84, I think.
Okay, I couldn't have met him. So
yeah. So Ene was someone that Ene had the box room at that time. So he asked him, said, "I'm Kayode Akibogun," thinking it was something of pride, of course.
Mm.
So he came out and said, "It's me." Otherwise, if he had thought it was, if I said to him, "Oh, my dad asked me this,"
I would have just run away.
he would have disappeared. He wouldn't have even said, "I'm the one."
Exactly.
So he said, "Oh, I'm Kayode Akibogun." So my dad looked at him and said, "Otunwobini." So he could rush here. And then the guy just started. And finally, he stopped. And the guy got up and he said, "Okay, so tell me why did you torture my son that way?" And before he could get a word out again, the corporal will start again. I was like, and I was thinking in my mind, like, oh my goodness, this man has killed me now. Because this senior, after this man leaves, this senior is going to kill me. So I was feeling quite scared, and this went on multiple times. Then senior started to beg my dad, like, Oga, sorry, it was a mistake. And my dad said to them, where were you when he was punishing my son? You didn't tell him to stop then. Now you want me to stop now. So my dad said the copper started again. So finally, the episode ended, and I was like, oh my God. I couldn't look him in the face. I could not look him in the face.
What class were you at that time? For 1 or 2?
It was 2.
I was in 2.
Okay.
We were in 2 at that point.
We were in 2 at that point. I'll tell you that after that incident, I won't say we became friends, but there was a level of, in all honesty, there was a level of stability between us. It was just because I think I came, again, I was pampered as a kid. I think I came and half the time I was confused about a lot of things. I didn't understand what was, I didn't blend in, like, I was what you call a late bloomer when it comes to just understanding that you're living by yourself and you're living in a place where your parents are not. So, but I'll tell you that experience taught me what not to do, but it also taught me to be strong. Because then, after that time, nobody could punish me that could make me feel like, oh, this is the end of the world. No, it didn't matter now, because I felt like I'd seen the very worst. So what else could top this? Because the flip side of that was, so seniors from other houses will punish me if we were doing something, and they will punish me, but not seniors from my house, because then if they punished me, it was a group thing. I was never singled out.
Right. I remember that. I
have a question. What did you do that you got punished in the first one? Or you got beaten? Was it belt?
Both.
It was both.
No, I think I remember what happened, because we were all the same house. Like you said, Bola was a sport brat. So, remember, he was very lazy. He did not want to do any chores. I remember that situation, and I
can tell you exactly what happened.
Okay. You tell us. I have another question after you tell us.
It was over the weekend, so we were preparing for the Sunday inspection, and his task was to clean the toilets. And of course, there's nobody you are going to give that task who wants to happily do it. So, of course, he didn't want to do it. And if he didn't do it, it wasn't only him. But
right.
It wasn't only him. But, the others complied. He refused to do it. And I lost my cool, basically, And, that's basically what spoiled everything on,
Right.
But at that point, yes, I was at the back end of some serious blows, but I just look at it as, whether from my part or from his part, it was just down to what you call youthful exuberance.
Right.
Now that did what he felt he had to do. When I went to Mayomba, my dad was working at Mayomba, the military hospital there, When I went there, I didn't tell my dad anything, but my dad heard about it. I explained to him what happened. I said, well, it's one of those things, you have to deal with it.
Your dad was a military officer too?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad heard about it, but my dad said, because I think from my second year in command, my parents stopped coming to visit me. They'll give me a money. If I needed money, or if I needed anything, all I needed to do was go and meet Major Akinwale in the MRS and just tell her, I need blah 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 blah. She'll get the message to my dad. They were very close. So and because my dad was very busy, he would leave Lagos, go to Abeokuta, to go and tend his farm, so, there was not, I mean, he had his own reasons why, and, I quite enjoyed it as well, like that, because I didn't lack for anything, so I didn't lack for anything, and as long as I had what I needed, so yeah. But when I went to see him at my own barrack, he was like, I had what happened to you, what happened, and I explained, well, you're a leader, and with leadership comes responsibility and consequences. So that was how it ended.
So what did you learn from that actually?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of things that has. Also, don't forget that I went to Ogun State University. 5 years, I did the 5 years course, and for the 5 years that I was there, I was on my own. So from the age of 12 till I graduated from Ogun State University, I became independent, and I became very active, along so many lines. I was a student union, just like I was a drum captain, I got into politics, on a very small level, all of these things with regards to leadership. That's what I gained out of some of those incidences. How to manage people, how to manage adversity, how to interact with people,
Empathy.
Empathy, yes. Yeah. Because I mean, I wasn't cruel to Larry. It wasn't just Larry. If it was just Larry, I probably would have. I mean, I had this thing whereby I used to sit down with my juniors and we would gist, So I had that camaraderie with them. You understand me? So I wasn't wicked. If I was wicked, then that would have been cause for concern. But for those who know me, for everything that I also do, I am a very passionate person. I've always been passionate from when I'm young. Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So if I'm going to be a leader of men, I want to lead them aright. You understand me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you have somebody slacking in the group, my tendency is to whip them into shape. You understand me?
Yep.
Come on, don't let the group down, things like that, and sometimes it gets the job done. Sometimes it doesn't quite work the way you want. I think one of those instances was the incident, with Larry.
So I have a question. Did you leave him in the chore of cleaning bathrooms, or you removed him and put him in a different?
No. He was supposed to clean the toilets with another group of people. And then he disappeared, and I became needy because that was.
No, I said after that. I mean, after that, did you ever give him the bathroom to the toilet to clean, or you switched him?
I can't quite remember, but the chores. I mean, it would be unfair if I said, Larry, go and clean the toilet this Sunday, and then next Sunday I say, Larry, go and clean that toilet. It would be unfair. It used to be a rotational thing. Right. You understand? Okay. So. It wasn't targeted at him, but it's not only Larry. There are others who will refuse to go and cut the grass, or they will cut it haphazardly, they still have to be managed as well, I mean, I washed the toilet many times when I was in my junior years, many things when I was in my, so it's one of those things that happens, but I didn't. Yes, it was painful, the blows, but what can we do when an adult says,
listen. I witnessed it. I saw a grown man beating up a teenager. It was actually a scary sight.
You didn't try and give the guy Mike Tyson.
A military man.
But I was trying to buttress your point and about your personality. Then it's true, you were not wicked, because I was telling even Larry, I never had an issue with Cowley apart from the general punishment. Yeah, I never had any personal issues. So it's true, you were very playful, especially with the towel. You were playful with it, but it hurts.
But not the towel alone. We also did the towel as well, the pillow as well.
Exactly. We have to fight. So that will take me to the next question. We'll talk about leadership and and having showing, I mean, just what you learn from Command, and that's transition into even your involvement in Comlag as a whole. So I'll give you the floor to tell us some things about the UK alumni that you currently lead.
Oh, well, right. Okay. So my first foray into alumni matters in the UK was in 1992. I got invited by a guy called Azuka Ebi. Yes, I don't know if you guys remember him. So I got this one day and he said, Senior Kai, blah 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 blah, you know, we are doing this thing, you know, we want you to come. And I said, okay, I'll be there, you know. Meanwhile, before I even go that far, the UK alumni had started at different, but it was actually started by Demola Murray when it was in the UK. But it was, I think, the story I had, I wasn't part of that. But the story I had was that it was just a gathering of a few commandos, you know, for a barbecue party in his garden, you know, when he was here then. And the next, you know, thing that they did was there was a picnic in Regent's Park, but it wasn't organized in the way we are now. So it was like Demola, when we started it, they had an event in his back garden, and that was it. And then someone else, I'm not sure who it was, they thought, let's have a picnic at Regent's Park. And then that was a success as well. But then after that, you know, it just went comatose again. So in 1992, I got invited, you know, to come to an alumni meeting, and I went there. That meeting was held at Fumilayo Awolo's house, and the house was bursting at its seams. It was packed full of people that I've never seen before in my life. That was how huge the event was. So anyway, we started talking about the alumni, how we are going to organize it, you know. And then we had that meeting then. It was a full house. Then we had, the decision then was to have monthly meetings. So the following month, there was a scheduled meeting. I went there again. And it wasn't as full as the first time. So it started, the enthusiasm started waning, you know. And then the third meeting, just a handful of us. At that meeting, we constituted the committee to draft the constitution. It was at that meeting that I met Timi Njomu, who was the president of what the alumni was then. So Timi Njomu was the president then, and then we constituted a constitution drafting committee. It was at that meeting that I also met Wasiu Popola. You understand me? And you know, we drafted the constitution. In between that December 1992, we had a Christmas party, you know, and after that Christmas party, that was the end of it. So at that stage, I wasn't fully involved in it, but I was part of the constitution drafting committee. We got to the point where we needed to ratify that constitution, but people's interest had started dying. So we didn't actually ratify that constitution then. So we left it. We had the Christmas party in December 1992. And after that day, the alumni of the UK went silent for almost 8 years.
Mr. Kyle, do you have a minute? Can you adjust your camera?
Okay. So
that's better.
So 8 years, I think 8 years or thereabouts down the line. I then started thinking, we can't continue like this. So I spoke to one or two people about reviving the alumni, and then, you know, there wasn't really much enthusiasm, but I said, okay, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and revive it anyway. If people come, fine. If people don't come, well, I've tried. So we organized, Kule Oguban just suggested to me, he's 82 or 83, so he suggested to me that, why don't I organize what we call a meet and greet event. So in May of 2018, I started circulating that information, And that was how we started the revival of the UK alumni in the UK. So we went on from there. We had a successful meet and greet. About between 30 and 40 people came. We had a good time, and then people showed interest and commitment. That yes, we want the alumni to continue. So from there, we had the black tie events, which what's his name? Ifedayo Olowe.
Come on.
Ifedayo Olowe graced us with his presence. I was really impressed, because I didn't know at that point who was going to turn up. But it was a huge success. And basically that was how the UK alumni got resuscitated. And I'm glad to say that up to this moment we are waxing stronger. We organized ourselves, we put in structure, we had the interim executive committee. From there we organized elections where I and my ESCO members were elected, and we are the ESCO that we currently have now. We have a short period, our tenure is almost ended, and but yeah.
So are you going to convert it to a chapter?
No, we are not going to be a chapter. We are going to be a proper alumni, like we have always been.
Okay.
The I don't want us to use this medium to start unnecessary controversies. Now, the idea of a chapter is nothing to do with us. So we can say what people do, but we can say what we do in the UK here. We are a fully fledged alumni. We have our own constitutions. We have our own structure. You understand me? We have organized ourselves, and we have organized ourselves predominantly for those in the UK. However, we are willing to synergy with any grouping anywhere in the world. So we, like I've always said, a commando anywhere is a commando everywhere. So if I come to the US, I expect to be treated the same way I will treat you when you come to the UK, ditto when you go to Nigeria. I'm sure if Edapro can tell you of the fantastic way we treated him when he came here. Even when we had the right party, we had people who came from America, who came from Nigeria. They can attest to we never turn anyone away. It doesn't matter where you come.
No, I know, definitely. But the other question I was going to ask is, so the other command alumni across Europe, are they on your platform, like your WhatsApp group?
We are very specific. We are Comlag UK alumni.
Okay,
yeah?
so
that means somebody
in Germany or Ireland,
they can't be part of that alumni.
They can. UK is Ireland. The Welsh, they are all part of the UK.
Republic of Ireland too.
Ireland is not UK.
No, that's different. Republic of Ireland is different.
Yes,
it's not UK.
But that is what we are. You understand me? We are not claiming to do what we are not. So we are not responsible for other alumni or other groupings outside of the UK, because we've always said it that we are only catering to the interest of our members in the UK here.
Gotcha.
And that is what we are. However,
your primary objective is to cater to the members in the UK.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm going to shift to Bola for a minute. Bola, you still there? I wanted to share a little bit of what you do with us in the time of Corona, this pandemic. I know you work with Walgreens. You shared some things with me, and I know how much you've been so busy with administering vaccinations to thousands of people in a week. Can you share some of that experience, being in the front line in a new world?
Well, thank you, and thank God for the opportunity to be able to serve. It's the pandemic, so for me, I had first-hand experience because I had the virus myself. and I was in the hospital, but I pulled through. Thank God I pulled through. And so for me, it wasn't very difficult. Once we heard that the vaccine was going to be available, and our the president of the Walgreens company at the time, had worked with the president of the United States, and that was one of the spokespeople in the forefront of things. So they had agreed that Walgreens and CVS Pharmacy was going to be the first to administer vaccines, other than hospitals, of course. So we were one of the first folks to begin to administer vaccines. We did a lot of clinics, a lot of off-site clinics for the senior homes, which they were the most vulnerable at that time. Because people go into the senior homes and are not vaccinated, they're not protected. The senior homes are fine because they don't go to a lot of places. But people that come from the general public, that go to them, that get people sick, and we lost a lot of people in the senior homes through that time. So we started with that. We started with senior home vaccinations for people who are in those homes. And I was fortunate that while we're doing that, I was able to get mine. So I got my vaccination in December and January. I got my first and second doses. And then the company said to us, well, for you to be an operations manager for the Walgreens company, you have to be certified in pharmacy. You have to be a certified technician at least, at a minimum. So I'm a certified technician too. I used to work for Mount Sinai Hospital in Chicago. So then we went through the immunization training. So on the average, I do a bunch of shots a day, maybe 50 shots, maybe sometimes more, in order to help ensure that people are vaccinated, in order to get us to that herd immunity that the doctors are looking for, the experts are looking for, so that more people are vaccinated so we can go back to our life. Because people say a lot about this is our new normal. This is not a new normal.
It's not normal, whether new or old.
Yeah, this is not a new normal. We have to come out of that mindset.
Right.
A new normal. We did not, because what we might see on the back end of this might be even tougher to go through or to really experience, is that a lot of people have breathing challenges that would begin to crop up because it's like we're suffocating ourselves. For the most part, that's what so we don't know what will come out of the end of this because nobody's measuring it right now.
Right.
So deeply honored to be able to help people, to be able to vaccinate people, to be able to get ourselves protected so that kids who cannot get the vaccinations are protected also. I know people have a lot of skepticism about getting the vaccine. Well, if what I would say is I advise people to do your best. I'm not going to say get it by force, but do your best to get vaccinated. Do your research. See which one fits you the best. Because right now we're doing 3 different vaccinations. We're doing Moderna, we're doing Johnson & Johnson, and we're doing the Pfizer. So the Johnson & Johnson, which is called the Janssen vaccine, it's a one and done. You get one shot, 0.5 ml, and it's done. While the other 2 are 0.3 ml, but they're 2 shots. So again, just being able to go day after day after day, getting people vaccinated, and that's just a thing of joy for me personally, because we're able to help people.
So can I ask you a quick question though? Why is it that you're not doing AstraZeneca?
Well, I don't know that that's been approved in the US at this point.
No, it hasn't.
No, okay.
I don't think it's approved yet, because so a lot of people had concerns about the Janssen vaccine because it was only 80-something% efficacy, but it doesn't. But the test that the first 2 vaccines went through is not what this one went through. This one went through a more rigorous test, because by the time Janssen was hitting the market, there were other variants in play now. At the time the first 2 were hitting the market, the variants were not like this. So there are crazy variants out there now that they have to go through even more rigorous tests. So from my view, I think it's just good to get one of the 3. Get one of the 3, protect your family. I have children. I have a wife and children. I want to make sure they're protected. I don't want to go because if I got infected, who's to say it can happen to anybody? It can happen.
Right.
You know, it's a thing that was a very tough time. My wife was scared out of her mind. My children did not even know that I was sick. You know, my family was really scared. So it's a very, very tough thing to go through. If I look at myself and I'm thankful to God, I feel like God gave me a new lease on life, that I'm able to be around and be able to raise my children and be with my wife and do the things that I was meant to do. Because it's definitely a blessing, because there are people who are not as good as me, who are better than me rather, who are not who experienced it and they're no longer around. It was a very tragic time, and just get protected is what I'm saying. Get protected. Protect yourself, protect your loved ones. Do it because it's the right thing to do.
So I have a question on that. You were saying something about the Johnson and Johnson one that is 0.5 milliliter.
Yes, 0.5 ml.
You said they had gone through rigorous testing to test the other the British and the South African and Brazil variant before it came out. So you think it's stronger because it has a larger capacity and the one shot?
No, I can't say that, because it's the dosage. I think that the first two came out with that dosage because they were new, and that's what they tested for.
Gotcha.
They didn't test for large doses because they knew the vaccine was going to be something that had to fight something that was really bad.
Right.
So what they tested for was 2 doses, and that's what they came out with.
Gotcha.
So it's 21 to 28 days between doses. So that's what they tested for. Whereas the Janssen tested for a 1-dose shot. Because a lot of people, we're having people come in and say, I just want the Janssen because it's 1 shot. I don't have to come back a second time.
Exactly.
Well, so if I go to Walgreens, I can request for a Johnson and Johnson.
Yes, if you go in, if right now, I don't think that your age limit yet. I don't think that this age.
Right, there's an age requirement right now.
Yeah, I think it's in May.
60.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's 60 and above now. But I think what then happens is we cannot waste doses. That's one thing I'll tell you right now, is that we don't waste any doses. We ensure that the employees, there's someone, instead of wasting doses, because someone might book a vaccination and not show up.
Yeah.
But that dose is going to go to waste if you don't administer. So we don't waste any doses. We try to make sure we have just enough to do the vaccinations we want to do, because it's a very critical. I can't stress enough how critical it is for just in the handling of the vaccine alone. So once you take it out of the freezer, you have 5 days within which you must use all those doses.
Wow.
So it's a very, very sensitive process. So, and then once you open a vial, it's only good for 6 hours. So you draw 6 doses from 1 vial, and those 6 doses, you better have 6 people waiting for the vaccine before you open that vial.
Right.
Because if you don't, then you're gonna have to wait. If you risk it, then in 6 hours, if somebody doesn't come, you risk that dose. And that's doses that could go into somebody's arm, that could ensure that that person is protected, that their loved ones are protected. So because if we're limiting the age right now, why waste the dose?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense. It's just not a very sensible thing to do. So,
well, I think the U.S. has been successful, especially after President Biden celebrated 100 million doses that they put in people's arms during the week. So I guess their logistics in regards to how they've done it has been successful.
Well, you have to commend. Yes, you're right. You have to commend the. So, in all honesty, I know the partnership started with Trump.
Yeah, started with the military.
Fully honest, the partnership between CVS, Walgreens, and the government started during the Trump administration. However, the efficiency at which this administration is taking place and the demand, the ask is that continue to vaccinate people so we can get quickly to that herd immunity. And that has been the sense of urgency that has been around it, and that has been what you hear from the government. So, of course, the tone of the government is truly two different tones.
Because the current administration is doing a better job in marketing, with using more facts. Yeah, and also using data and facts compared to the previous administration that was not doing that. Even though, yes, I agree that they had that partnership with Walgreens then, but the tone and the communication was very faulty back then. Compared to now, the communication is way much better. Coordination and logistics is way more better.
And the accountability is very high.
Yes, and the accountability is much higher now.
Yeah, when we transport this, I'll give you an example. So there's a hub store or hub location where you take the vaccines that are frozen because you cannot refreeze the vaccine. You're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
No, you can't refreeze it. You cannot refreeze it. So when we transport the vaccines, we go and we take a cooler to go transport it. Because once you take it out of that freezer, you've got 5 days. So we only take based on schedules what we need.
Right.
And even despite that, we still monitor those doses to make sure we do not waste a single dose.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And do they report the doses they give out to CDC? All that. Okay.
Yeah, because it's all in the system.
Got you.
It's all
so we're not just administering it. Everything is entered into the pharmacy system, and of course that is passed up as a company every day.
To CDC.
So I can tell you conveniently that every day the government knows how many vaccines Walgreens did, or CVS did, or Rite Aid did in a day.
Right. Wow, that's very informative.
Thank you for that. The frontline workers, thank you very much for
you guys have been awesome, man. Okay, let's wrap this up.
Okay. So I want to say thank you very much for our two guests, C85 and C89. This is the 30th edition, so we reach another milestone. Thank you for everybody watching and subscribing, and those we have in the future scheduling to come. We had people who have watched the show that even asked to actually come on, so we appreciate that they do appreciate listening to the experiences, and also being an education. We educate people in regards to things. Just listening to Mara right now was an excellent education on the accountability and the process of the logistics to get vaccinated. Vaccines. So we have the herd immunity, and we can get back to the regular normal, not the new normal and stuff. So so we definitely want that. So thank you for the work you do. We appreciate that. And thank you for also telling us your experiences in command, how it's evolved you from boys to men, and also how your resilience today to be successful in what you do, and also telling us your stories between a senior and a junior in regards to the challenges we had and how you guys have made up for it and gone past it and been successful. So it's interesting. So thank you very much. If I take it away.
And I think when I think about this, and I know you're wrapping up, but when I think about this, I think I don't know, what state are you from? What state are you from?
I'm from Ogun State. I'm an Egbaman.
Yeah, so we're both Egbaman. Because I can remember very vividly that he was from Egbaland too. So I'm from Abeokuta, I'm from Ilugun Atalu, and a fellow Egbaman. It's always that we call it King connection.
Yeah.
We call it King connection. We're from the same place. So it's amazing that you can learn from those experiences, and they can shape you into the man and the father that you are. Because that compassion, like I said, we never had any issue after that. But I learned also that taught me something. That taught me something in accountability, and I don't think I can even ever remember again having anyone say, "Oh, you did not do your chore" or something.
Right.
Because
exactly.
that experience was a learning experience for me, and I thank you for that, because in every adversity, and this is something Napoleon Hill says, in every adversity there's a seed of equal or greater benefit. So it might have been that was an adversity for me because I was punished, but it taught me something. The seed of greater benefit is who I became and what I was able to grow from it. I was able to grow from that and learn from that, and you have to thank the people that help you along the way. So I say thank you to you for that experience, because had you not done that, then I probably wouldn't have learned, like, oh, this is pretty serious. You can't do that. And then I learned both ends of it, both ends of the spectrum. I learned to temper justice with mercy.
Right.
So really temper justice with mercy, because so that's really, I really thank you. And I thank you for listening.
We appreciate you guys because I know when we're setting this up, we want to make sure you guys are comfortable, because we are learning from this. So if you're watching this show, it's part of why we have this. Why Goke and I have this outlet that we need to learn to. I know people that have got to command, and after 30 years, they still have all this grudge or this hatred towards each other. This is a typical example that we can learn and move on, and actually still have our camaraderie. So again, I'm ready to get back to my normal. I want to go back to London and have my 5G. I miss that 5G, man.
Before we wrap up, there's just one thing that I want to point out here, and that is how incredible it is that for me, 45 years, I think it was, I don't know how long it will be for you guys, but for me, this year is 35 years that I left command, and it's amazing that in that space of time, that long, time, we are still recollecting, a lot of things. And these memories, you can't take them for granted. You can't really take them for granted. I'm happy that Larry, hasn't been damaged, by his experiences, either directly through me or from command, in general. But I've spoken to people who have graduated in the 90s, way after we left, and their narrative is always very painful. It's not as if everything was a bed of roses for us in command. Don't get
no way, it wasn't.
When we are saying these things we are saying, it's because these things have shaped us. Someone was talking about, the roofs, the toilets. The toilets have always been bad. The grasses have always grown. We've always seen snakes, all of those things. We've always encountered them, but we've risen above them. You understand me? It's the experience about how command actually shaped you that's important. But more importantly is the beautiful memories that we have. Whether it is you being punished, or whether it is you having a school father who pampered you, or a school mother who pampered you, or maybe you had girlfriends here and there. These experiences, we can't take them for granted. You understand me? And that phrase, together we shall win, together. We can't take it for granted, because that encapsulates everything that being a commando is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it also, just want to say something, it builds our character and our mental strength. That's one other thing I know going to military school does. The regimental experiences, yes, sometimes, as you said, we rose above it, but it builds our character and our mental strength. And I know a lot of my friends I hang with, those who do not go to military school, they're always saying that, I have this, strong character and also strong mental strength, and that helps me. Even through when I had an auto accident that was very bad, I was able to handle it because of what I went through and pulled through. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, it's been so much fun. I know Mr. Kennedy is kind of late over there. Thanks for staying up. My man, Oyebola, when you come to town, is Larry still there?
I will see you.
Yeah. All right. Let's hook up this coming weekend. Again, please remember, subscribe, like, share videos, and we'll catch you some other time. Mr. Kennedy, I hope I see you in London later this year. All right, guys.
Yes, hopefully, lockdown permitting, when they lift all this stuff, we are working hard so hard, and we didn't have it last year, but we are planning, something, and we pray that the Almighty allows all these nonsense to, filter away, and then we'll be able to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Amen.
No,
Amen.
He said amen.
Yeah. Okay. So fantastic. So
I'll leave you guys with just one thought as you close: is let us speak what we want. Right?
Exactly.
Let us speak what we want. Not
exactly.
We speak what we want like we have it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Optimistic.
Our normal is coming. It's our normal is here. It's gonna happen.
I agree with you.
So because
being optimistic.
a lot of times people didn't think we'll even get here to where 100 million people are vaccinated. So let us just speak what we want. We'll begin to speak it like it's happening right now. So I just say thank you.
I like that.
Hey, I don't pick what I want, so I'm coming to London this year. I'm not picking up.
That's it.
I'm glad to have you here.
We'll see you guys, okay?
Alright, cheers.
Much love, guys. Much love.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.